Alright, good morning, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Slick is taking a break here today. I am Tactadad, if you guys haven't met who I am. But today we're going to have a pretty interesting episode. Over the last couple episodes, you've seen that I have actually shown a few of my modern firearms, because the reason why is I know that a lot of viewers have had questions as to if I have any modern firearms, and if so, could you please show us? And really, this episode is no exception. But today is going to be a little different because I'm actually going to be talking about my carry gun. So I hope you guys actually enjoy this video. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I am going to state a little bit about my opinion of this firearm. I'm going to be talking a little bit about some features that it has on it that I like, some things that I like, some things that I don't like. You know, I'm not going to be an expert by any means on these weapons because this isn't anything that I really study. However, I do use them, and it's just kind of important for us to kind of know a little bit about that as well. Plus, I'm also doing this for your entertainment. Let's just be honest. Okay, so without any further ado, what is my carry gun? What do I like to use? Well, I like to use, actually, the Smith & Wesson, Smith & Wesson Shield Plus. Okay, so you guys will probably see some pretty interesting stuff here on screen. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this unloaded. Yes, I do have a loaded magazine on here, but I'm not going to insert it into the firearm, but you guys can see there's no round in the chamber, so I'm just going to go ahead and close it there. Alright, so anyway, it is just some interesting stuff about this firearm. First off, I want to say, you know, I really do like it. So let me tell you that, because I'm sure there's some people out there who are going to be interested in buying something like this for their everyday carry. Someone who is a concealed carrier or lives in a state that is constitutional carry. You know, this is definitely something that I love. You know, I'll talk about its specifications. I'm going to let you decide whether this would be something that's a great choice for you. It's a great choice for me, just strictly for the sheer fact of, well, one, I like the fact that it's a little bit more modern. I like how light it is. You know, I'm not going to tell you the specifics about this, but I like how light it is. It is just very easy to carry, in my opinion. And, you know, I put it in my holster. I basically forget that it's even there. You know, and before, I'm sure some of you guys can guess, before I actually carried this piece, I actually was carrying a 1911 government size, you know, and to boot, it's actually a Colt. So, you know, neither here nor there, but in my opinion, what I was doing was basically I was carrying a gun that I really just wanted to shoot in competition. And, you know, even though it could be used and was meant to be used to be carried, I didn't like necessarily the conditions I was putting it through, you know, and it's one of the few Colt semi-autos that I actually do have. I didn't want to have any rust on it or anything like that. I'm kind of a sweaty guy, as you guys can probably see on camera, so I definitely have that about me where, you know, I could potentially cause corrosion on the firearm, and obviously, you know, the finish is kind of one of those things that, you know, some more finishes are durable than others. I'm not going to say what is the best, I'm not going to say what is the worst, but I can say that, you know, there are more durable finishes out there than others, and I just didn't like the finish durability that was going on there with my Colt, and I was ending up getting rust on it. You know, and before that I was carrying my Colt 1903 pocket hammerless, which is what it was designed for, to do, you know, pocket carry or something like that. But once again, I'm a sweaty person. It's an older gun, and, you know, it has some nice value to it, and I just didn't want to add any more rust to it than, you know, what had been added onto it throughout the years. I didn't want to add more character to it, if you will. So I decided to get something else to kind of add a different character to. And, you know, if I was going to add character to it, I wouldn't feel bad about it. So, you know, it has a finish on it that I, you know, and for the sheer fact of these firearms are things that I don't really prize in the sheer fact of collectability, I do like for the sheer fact of their usability. You know, so I could essentially throw this in the car, throw this in the truck, put this on my person. Didn't matter if it got dirty. I'd put some oil on it, you know, whenever I felt like it, make sure that the thing ran, You know, the outside of the firearm didn't matter to me. So that's another reason why I like it and why I got it. I do like the sights on it. The sights are very pronounced, you know, for stock sights, if you will. I don't know a whole lot about aftermarket parts, and I'm not going to really talk about that. But I do like the sight pictures on it. The sight is actually, as you will see later on, you're going to see that it's got night sights on it, and then it's also got a front red sight. So I think that's kind of neat. It also does come optics ready, which I think is a great option. It's something I've even thought about getting into. I've never really shot pistols with optics on them. I'm so used to shooting iron sights. So that's going to be something that's going to be an adjustment for me. But nonetheless, I think the fact that I even have the option is great. So it's just kind of cool. You know, and also, I also like I like how it fits in my hand when I get a purchase on it. And granted, I don't have the magazine on it, but you can also see that the magazine I have has an extension on it. And yes, the extension does help. Plus, on top of that, it gives me a little extra capacity, which is what I really wanted. And so, yes, I would like to reiterate that this is a Shield Plus, and the caliber is actually in 30 Super Carry. You know, and I know that 30 caliber and all that and concealed carry rounds are in hot debate, and people are debating what is the most powerful, what is something that is actually good for self-defense. And I'm not here to say neither here nor there, but I did buy 30 Super Carry for the specific reason of that it had the higher capacity, especially, you know, one of the biggest contenders to the Smith & Wesson is the Glock 19. You know, I'm not sure on the dimensions on that and how similar they are, but I understand that their capacity is kind of one of those things that they're well known for. Smith & Wesson, the Shield originally, to my knowledge, came out with either 10+1 or slightly less than that. In 30 Super Carrier, I know it was in 10+1, but when they came out with the Shield Plus, it did double, I don't want to say double because it really didn't, but it actually made the capacity a lot higher than the 10+1, especially with things like 9mm. So when they came out with 30 Super Carry and they had the double stack magazines, in this one, you can fit supposedly 16+1. So, you know, you're talking about getting into the Glock 17 territory. You know, don't go by gospel on that. I'm not sure exactly how many rounds the 17 carries because I don't have one, but I would imagine, I know that's higher than the 19. I know the 19 has 15, and we're not talking about the extended magazines. But the 17 I know should have 17 rounds in it. So this definitely is supposed to get you there in a more compact handgun. So that was something that was really appealing to me. I'll get into what I don't like about it here in a second, just because it's something that is kind of irritating, but at the same time, I really don't. It's not a big deal. Capacity, I have rounds. I have more rounds than I would be able to carry with my 1911, and that's what I was going for. So that's just the honest to God's truth on that. I like the slide serrations on it. It allows me to get a good purchase on the weapon. You know, I can definitely rack the slide. Some people have issues racking the slide on these, and I know that there's different versions out there that allow you to rack it easier. I know that it has some different internals that allow for faster follow-up shots, which is another benefit of the 30 Super Carry. Some people say that it actually shoots a little bit better than the 9mm, so shootability when it comes to recoil impulse and things like that, it's a little bit better with this. Once again, I think it's going to come down to personal preference, and in my personal preference, I haven't shot these in 9mm, so I really can't say, but in the 30 Super Carry, I like it. In my personal capabilities, I'm able to actually get faster follow-up shots in a semi-auto, certainly faster than a 45. And yes, I have shot things like 380, but I know that some of the 380 rounds that they have out there are typically in lighter guns, so the recoil on that can actually be significantly worse. So, you know, I just think that it was kind of a good compromise with recoil impulse capacity and, you know, faster follow-up shots as well as power, if you will. So I just think that's why I got it in 30 Super Carry. People may have disagreements on that. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the 30 Super Carry. I'd love to know. Please share it out there. It's a relatively new round, so you know, it's only been out, I think, for 1.5 years now. But, you know, and sometimes depends on where you can get it. I know that I can get it in my area. Maybe I can't speak for you. What else do I like about this thing? I like how short the barrel is, but it still feels like, you know, a very solid gun. It's not a pocket pistol by any means. So I think that's kind of neat. But, you know, it does definitely fit the bill when it comes to size, and I know that they kind of have these names out there for these handguns, you know, that it's not really accepted by the industry, and by any means, I'm not trying to be a modern firearms channel. This is more old style, but like I said, I'm talking about my carry gun, so I'm going to say that, you know, the term that they come out with is micro compact. Whether that's actually adopted by the industry or not, this is considered by some of the bigger YouTube channels to be micro compact. You know, it is what it is. You know, it is a concealed carry handgun choice. So I think something that's also interesting is that you have a indicator on here to indicate whether you are loaded or not. I think that's kind of neat as well. So I would say that it definitely helps because you don't have to do what they call a press check. You don't have to open, you know, manipulate the slide at all. You can literally just peep through that peephole and you're good, you know. And you know, obviously I do like the takedown lever. I think it's a lot more easier to manipulate just because of how big it is compared to other pistols. I also like the trigger. I do like the trigger safety on here. And my understanding, and I haven't owned a shield previously to this, but I have looked at them, and the shields originally had a hinge trigger safety rather than just a, you know, just a trigger bar, if you will. I don't know what the technical term is for that, and I'm not going to attempt that. But anyway, I'm just going to call it a trigger bar just to let you know what I think it looks like. But it was a hinge trigger safety, and to my understanding, that really wasn't very popular, so they switched over in their Shield Plus format and some later versions to go to the flat trigger. So I think that's really cool, very Glock-ish of them to do that. But I do like it. For those of you who handle Glocks versus Smith & Wessons, you can let me know what you guys think about the Smith & Wesson trigger safety versus the Glock as far as their usability. You know, I do like that. What else do I like about it? I do like the grip texture. I think it definitely does help. As I said, I'm a very sweaty guy, so it allows me to get some grip on the weapon, especially in maybe a stressful situation. You can definitely feel that the pistol's there and get your good purchase on it. I think that's great. The magazine release on it is reliable. Haven't had any issues with it. I can reach it easily with my thumb, you know, and it doesn't, you know, it's not terribly hard to press. So I think that's neat. So those are all the good qualities. So what are some things that I really don't like about this thing? Well, to be honest with you, once again, taking it in through the break-in period, you know, I did have a couple malfunctions that may have had something to do with me, just because I'm not used to shooting striker-fired guns, and I don't really do it. You know, so I had a couple hang-ups, and, you know, I worked through that. I've shot it a couple more times. I've shot it without a hitch, no issues. You know, obviously there's going to be some type of break-in period, so I haven't quite reached that. You know, I'm under 100 rounds right now, so I probably have a little bit more trigger time than I need to get on it before it ends up being something that might be considered really more reliable. That's not saying this isn't reliable. I'm just saying that at least with the times that I've used it, I've had a handful of malfunctions, and, you know, that may change. Also, the safety on it, because, you know, I know some people have issues with the manual safety. The manual safety is just one of those things that I wanted to have. And I know that Smith & Wesson has different versions of the safety. They have the grip safety. They're going to have a manual safety here, and some of them don't have any safety at all. And they just have the trigger safety, I would say. You know, that's just kind of, you know, that's interesting about their line is they have such a diverse, so you can kind of fit the customer. I think that's something that is a positive. But I think that something that is also, that is a negative about this safety is it is just so small compared to my 1911. That's the thing I liked about the 1911 grip, the manual safety on it, is that I could just literally slide my thumb on it, you know, and I wouldn't have any issues. It wouldn't slip off or anything like that. And I'm not saying that I have had it slip off, but the fact of I have to make sure that when I draw, I actually have a good purchase, know that I have it on the manual safety, and I just drop it down. And in a stressful situation, I can see where that might be a bit of an issue. So I do carry this with the manual safety, but you also have the option, because of the trigger safety, to carry it without the manual safety engaged. But you do have that option. I just want to state that I don't personally like the manual safety the way that it is, and I wish it were a little bit more extended. Am I going to get it extended? Probably not. I'm just going to keep it as is. This is just me talking about it. So anyway, that's just something that I don't like. Also, some other things that I don't really like about it, I'm going to say, are that it says that it comes with a 16 round magazine, but let me tell you, and it may get, and I've seen it several times on other YouTube channels, where they talk about the first mag reviews and the first time loading these things. I can't speak for all Smith & Wessons, but I can speak specifically for this magazine here and this gun. And it's definitely going to be the fact that I cannot get 16 rounds in this. The spring is just too darn heavy. And you know, it causes a lot of stress on my fingers, and I put it on a hard surface and I try to load it that way, and the most rounds I've been able to get in this magazine so far have been 15 and then put one in the chamber, you know. And so technically, if you will, you are carrying 16 rounds, you know, so, but you just cannot put 16 rounds in the magazine. You have to carry 15 rounds in the magazine plus one in the weapon. And I just think that's, you know, that may loosen up over time, but it was something that was just an issue at first, and you really don't know until you actually handle one of these magazines or have any experience in it. So that's just something that, you know, I experienced having being a new EDC holder of this weapon. It is a very frustrating thing to take into account, and to my knowledge, that's the same way with the flat flush fit magazine. So extended or flush fit, you may have to expect that you're just going to be able to fit one less round into the firearm than what is actually advertised. So that's my opinion. Anyway, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus. I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll see you in the next one.